Before you book at the Hilton Hawaiian Village Waikiki Beach Resort, you need to realize that this stay comes with 4 main things. Beautiful views, chaos, crowds, and cost. There's plenty of those 4 in there. I'm gonna give you a detailed review of my 5-night stay at this highly rated resort. If you stick around to the end of this review, I'll give you my favorite part, my least favorite part, and I'll give you my overall score out of 5 stars. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about the overall resort layout because the Hilton Hawaiian Village is massive. So it has 3,386 rooms, 4,100 if you include the timeshares. It spans 22 acres, 5 towers, 5 pools, 18 restaurants, 5-acre man-made lagoon, and 80 stores. There's a lot going on. The resort is situated on a peninsula with only 2 exits, making traffic a bit of a nightmare, especially during city parades or rush hours. I got stuck in both of those and it was very frustrating. Parking and valet can be rough at times. I opted mostly for valet, even though it's a little bit pricier. You probably should do valet because the self-parking is terrible to get in and out of, and there's other things that went on during our stay, which I'll get into. And then most of the time it went pretty smooth, but the valet could take anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes to get your car. So heads up there. Just to dive a little bit more into the parking, the self-parking is available. I had a family member of mine that was mischarged for a self-parking garage fee for 48-hour stay when he was there less than 12 hours. They got it all sorted out and gave him a credit back, but because of the mistake. One of the cool features was the elevators. You kind of punch your floor number in and then it tells you which of the 8 elevators to go to. There's like a little kiosk thing. The system mostly worked well. It only had problems when the elevators were really crowded because it didn't know how many people were in your party. So it would tell our group of 4 to go to elevator C, and then there would be another group, but there were 7 people in there and they tell them to go to C, and then it all got a bit crazy. The public restrooms, unfortunately, around the resort were not great, not well maintained, and kind of gross. Let's talk about the rooms. This is probably the most irritating part for me about this resort because they were straight up gross. So the check-in process was a little bit busy. If you're not a Hilton members, there's actually a Hilton members line and a regular line. You can just sign up for the Hilton members and go into the Hilton members line. Just a little tip there to speed up the check-in process. So we were on the 16th floor oceanfront. I had to pay a little bit more to get onto the 16th floor. We were originally supposed to be on the 4th. That was a little infuriating to me because I do not believe my family had to pay extra to get onto the same floor with a room right next to ours. That was the first of the cost problems I had with this resort. So the amenities were basic in the room. There was no water and no snacks. I think putting water in a room is a really easy win for resorts, but some people don't do it. I'm not really sure why. The carpet was gross and threadbare. The trim was beat up. You could tell they just kept painting it over years. It looks like the Rainbow Tower hasn't been updated in like centuries. I'll put it that way. The beds were awful. The pillows were worse than the beds. So pillows are another easy win for me for resorts. I don't know why they don't pay attention to pillows, but the pillows were absolutely atrocious in this resort. They definitely didn't care about those. We had electrical issues for the first time I think I've ever had. You could not run an iron and a hairdryer at the same time. We tripped the breaker for our room, which caused a little bit of a headache because we were trying to get ready to get out to go to a luau. So it was a little bit stressful. The maintenance person came about 30 minutes later and flipped the breaker back on, but never had that issue. So heads up there that could be an issue. Caused, like I said, a little bit of a stressful situation. The AC worked fine. The bathroom was tight with a single sink, but no real issues. The shower pressure was fine. The toilet was fine. There was no clogging or anything in any of that. So that was good. The balcony was big and actually bowed out, and it had privacy sides, which I really appreciate. Balconies that have privacy sides. I don't like when you can just look down the sides to everybody else's balcony. I don't think that's great. There was plenty of towels, no issues there. The views were absolutely incredible, especially with the sunrises coming up through the city landscape in the morning and then looking out over the ocean and watching the surfers go out. So the view was obviously the best thing of this room. It was absolutely incredible. Let's move on to the activities. The resort has 5 pools, but I only really saw 3 of them. There is a pool with slides that kids, I heard is very popular with the kids. I did not get over to that one. If you want to get seating, make sure you get there early. They had a little bit of a weird thing with seating where if you didn't stand by your seats or use your seats, they put a placard. I get it, it's a hot spot seating around pools and beaches at resorts and everything, and people letting their stuff there. We don't leave our stuff there, but they did put a placard when we were talking to our family, literally 5 feet in front of our chairs, which I thought was very weird. The water was a bit cloudy on the pools and just kind of skeeved me out. I've been to lots of resorts with very crystal clear pools. They take a lot of, it takes a lot of work to keep that. I get all that, but the pools overall just seemed very cloudy, and there's just a lot of people, so it skeeved me out a little bit. The towel system around the pools and at the beach, it's a card system. You have to hand in a card to get a towel. You hand your towel back in to get your card back. If you have no cards, you don't get any towels. They must have had, obviously, a lot of people stealing towels or taking them on excursions and not bringing them back, so now they have a card system. They have a human kiosk, and what I mean by that is someone handing out towels, which is an actual person, but they also have a actually towel vending machine. They both seem to use the card system, so realize that. The beach was nice, but it was very crowded after 10 a.m., so the pools and the beach get very, very crowded, so just a heads up there. You can rent umbrellas and chairs, and the water was actually quite nice. There was people in the water literally from like 5 a.m. until after midnight. People love just lounging in the water. There's a man-made lagoon right to the right of the Rainbow Tower as well. It looked very big and, you know, just really calm waters. It wasn't really packed. There was activities and things you could do. I'm pretty sure you had to rent them to do them in the lagoon. I didn't get into the lagoon myself, but it wasn't as crowded. So if you're trying to get away from people, you can get out of the beach or out of the pool and head over to the lagoon. It didn't seem as busy. But yeah, there are plenty of things to do at this resort and plenty of pools. Just realize there are tons of people. So no matter which one you go to outside of the lagoon is the only place I really saw that wasn't super crowded. Okay, let's talk about the food and restaurants. So Bali's oceanfront for breakfast, it had good food and great service, but it was overall really expensive. It was about $100 for breakfast for 2 people, and that was 2 eggs, potatoes, a breakfast meat, and a drink. So $50 a person. That was also with tips, so realize it is very expensive. Tropics, which was right next to the pool, it was okay for lunch and dinner. I had a fried shrimp sandwich with fries for lunch the one time, and then I had a burger for dinner. The food was just kind of okay. It was all right. Lappert's ice cream is very popular. It's actually popular all across Hawaii. I saw those specific places all over the place. They had, you know, a hard scooped ice cream and then some other sweets and treats in it, and it was pretty good. There is a Dairy Queen as well on the island. It's actually around the front of the Rainbow Tower towards the bottom. Didn't realize it, it's kind of hidden, so just realized there is one. Those ABC stores that are all over, they're kind of stocked. It's like a mini mart type thing where if you forget anything, I certainly go to the ABC stores and they will have anything you need. And they're also great for having snacks or doing like a light lunch or a light dinner if you don't want to spend a lot of money going to the individual restaurants. They have kind of everything, and everybody was really helpful and really nice. So overall, the food was grossly overpriced. I thought the quality of the food was just okay, but the service was very good. All of our servers at both the at Tropics and both Bali's oceanfront and just around the resort were generally very helpful and very friendly. Just realize it cost a lot of money. We did have a food voucher, $350 per room. That went very, very quickly because if you're spending $100 for breakfast for 2 people, you can understand you're probably getting about 3.5 meals. So we're gonna talk about shopping. There is a ton of shopping. 80 stores, like I said at the beginning, gives you plenty of options. And it's all within the resort compound, so you don't have to go far if you forgot something or you just wanna spend an evening kind of walking through the shops. We did that one night and it was actually very enjoyable. It wasn't, you know, super crowded. And if you do it when people are at dinner time, normally the stores are not as crowded as they would normally be. But anything from like a Louis Vuitton store to like basic t-shirts and surf wear and things like that. So they have kind of the full gamut. And if you forgot anything at home like toothpaste, deodorant, or any medications or anything, the ABC store will have all of that to pick up. They also have t-shirts in there, you know, with like their own designs that are local that you can get at a lot of beach shops. So they have those as well in the ABC store. So there shouldn't be anything inside like the bazaar and underneath the specific resorts that you can't find or that you would be looking for. They had a full Volcom store underneath the Rainbow Tower, which was very cool. Went in there, bought some stuff, and the stores have different sales through the week as well. So the 5 days I was there, when I went to the Volcom one, it was buy one thing, get the second thing 50% off. So went in there and got a few things. So certainly check out the stores, check out what kind of sales they have going on, because they change them from day to day. But if you need anything, it is certainly on the resort. You will not have to go far unless you want to get maybe away from some of the prices that are on the resort premises. You may want to, you know, walk down the street or whatever that looks like. Let's get into cost. So this is probably the most frustrating part for me for staying at this resort. Remember, we stayed Rainbow Tower, 16th floor, oceanfront, king bed, and our costs were set up this way. So Tuesday and Wednesday night, it was $655 a night. Thursday was $685. Friday was $705. Saturday was $746. There is an additional fee per night per room of $182. That is for resort charges and taxes and things like that. Compared to our stay at Sheraton Kauai, that was around $145. So you're paying almost $40 additional as well for this specific resort. I did pay additional $30 per night per room when I checked in to get to the 16th floor. I do not believe my family had to pay that. So going through, I booked through Hilton. Mine was way more expensive. I'll get into more details, but I had to pay additional $30 per night per room to get to the 16th floor because I wanted a higher room. I'm not sure if my family had to pay that additional. So that was an additional cost above what I was already paying with the room charges and the resort charges. So we paid for we stayed for the 5 nights. When I compared my 5-night stay versus my family's 5-night stay, they booked through Expedia. I booked through Hilton. I had a $350 food voucher. They did not, but that $350 did not cancel out the additional costs I paid for the rooms. And when I asked the front desk why I'm paying an additional fee above for the same exact room, because one of my family members was literally right next to my daughter's room, which were identical. They said it's because of the time I booked. So I booked a different time. Maybe it was a week earlier. Maybe I don't know exactly the time difference. I just know we didn't book at the exact same time. And they said that the room, what the room costs is changing all the time, very much like airlines do. I didn't know resorts do that as well. I've been to resorts where different time blocks throughout the year are higher demand, which means you pay a higher price. Totally understand that. If you're going to make the decision to go during that time period, I get it. You're going to pay a higher cost, but this is almost like an airline randomizer, which I'm not cool with. I believe that is the first time I ran into that. Now, I should have done my research before we went and said, hey fam, what are you guys paying? This is what we're paying. This is different. I should have canceled it and then went through Expedia. Didn't know that. I tried to fix it after the fact, and it was, I think, our 3rd day in when I realized the difference, and they told me there was nothing they can do. It's all done by the computer is what was told to me, which was quite frustrating. So heads up, I probably wouldn't book through Hilton. I'd book through some other Expedia or any of those outside sources. You're probably going to get a better price. But certainly check, if you're going with a group, check your price against your other parties to make sure they're the same or about the same. Once again, did get the $350 food voucher, which was pretty. You could use it at any of the restaurants that were kind of on premises. The ones that were on premises but not owned by Hilton, you couldn't use it there. So, but there was a good amount, and it was a good mix. Parking as well, you have to pay for. Valet was $82.72 per day. And the regular self-parking, I believe, was around $70 a day. They were having problems with the charging. People were getting charged more than what they should have, like I spoke about before. I wouldn't use the self-parking for the extra 10, 12 bucks. It is worth to use valet because it is a nightmare to get in and out of that parking garage, from what I could see and from what my family who did some of the self-parking told me. The valet can take a bit of time, like I talked about, but it is way easier to stand there than to fight the traffic trying to get out of the self-parking garage. So parking is a bit of a mess. I would let the valets do, and they're running constantly. They do a good job. You will have to tip the valets as well, so something to think about there from a cost perspective. But overall, Rainbow Tower, oceanfront, king bed, 16th floor. To me, it is not worth the cost. I thought, like I talked about, the rooms being gross and dated and just not good at all. I do not think it warrants the cost that we had to pay there. So cost for me, huge downfall for this resort. I think it's excessive. Once again, I only know from the Rainbow Tower. I didn't see any of their rooms in the other tower. All right, we're talking about the 5-day itinerary, and then I'm going to end this video with my overall review of the Hilton Hawaiian Village, Waikiki Beach Resort. So surrounding area, we stayed for 5 days. Pro tip here, take some freezer bags and then use the ice machines at the resort. I bought a collapsible Amazon cooler that we could put into our vehicle as we were driving around the island to keep waters and things like that cold. For sandwiches, you want to take snacks. It certainly will save money if you do things like that. So take some freezer bags, fill them up with ice. I'll leave a link to the Amazon collapsible cooler I used. It worked wonderful, and then it collapses pretty much flat and can go back into your suitcase. That was great. So I'll leave a link for that below. So 5 days there. These are the excursions we did. First one is the Koala Ranch, a half-day package. That will also, I'll do a separate review video on that specific excursion. It's kind of a half movie sites bus tour, so where they film lots of movies on location at really beautiful scenery inside this, around the mountains and everything like that. And then the second part of that is a water excursion. Land ho! Where you get a nice tour of a really, really old fish pond that is very close to kind of the bus tour area. And then you also do a water excursion out into the bay, which is really cool. So we did the Koala Ranch half-day package, and I'll do a review on that. We also did a luau at Paradise Cove. So this I hated. Couple of reasons. So I'm not a big, I'm not into that kind of thing, luau's and all that kind of stuff. I appreciate the heritage and things like that. I just thought the overall show was and most of my family thought it was average as well. I'm not going to do a review of that because it was a very long day getting there. So the one thing, nightmare traffic. So it starts at 5 o'clock, traveling at 5 o'clock around Waikiki or getting over to where Paradise Cove is was horrible. They let you know that you have to leave if you're coming from Waikiki like an hour to an hour and a half prior to 5 o'clock. So do not leave it up to what Google Maps tells you the day before. If you're not Google mapping like at the moment, the traffic is horrendous to get around that area at that time. It's buffet style food. I didn't actually have any of the food. I had a pretty upset stomach that day. So I didn't have any of the food, and with the traffic and everything else, it was just, and it could have been, I just didn't feel good, which is why I didn't have a good experience. There are people there that were at the luau that had a blast. The kids actually enjoyed it. But most of the adults in our family just thought it was okay. It was maybe a 3 out of 5. You got drink tickets when you checked in. The show was average. Once again, not really my thing. It is right next to the Disney Resort as well in Hawaii. We did a sandbar excursion. I will do a separate review on that as well. It was a 20-minute boat ride out to the sandbar, and then they have a floating dock out there, volleyball. You can walk around. You can look at the reef. You can see the fish, snorkel, paddleboard, kayaking. They had lots of things to do out there, which is really cool. That was a pretty good time. We visited Sandy Beach, and at Sandy Beach, we got family photos. And when we were there, the waves were crazy. They said it was some of the biggest waves they've had in a really long time. So there's lots of boogie boarders and surfers and things like that out there. Lifeguards would not let you into the water if you did not have flippers, or you were not an experienced swimmer, or you were not like surfing / bodyboarding. So they were yelling at, common people in the sense of like people who are not locals to stay out of the water, because it was crazy. We also visited Lanikai Beach. This was beautiful. It was one of the things that many people told us to go. It's kind of been a beautiful upscale beach little town. Parking was very difficult. You had to park along the side of the street, and there wasn't a lot of parking. So we circled around maybe 3 or 4 times until we found one. No parking lots. It's just side of the street, and the beach was beautiful. It was busy, but it was wonderful. And you could see like the islands off that a lot of people would either kayak to or anything like that. Had private beaches out there, but it was a great spot. We found even though it was busy, we found a spot pretty quickly. Hung out there for a bit of time, and then headed back to the resort. So Lanikai Beach was great. And then my daughter and her boyfriend did Diamond Head hike. We did not do it that day because my wife and I were not feeling good. We had plans to do it, but it only took them a couple hours to go up. They said it was really cool, and then you could obviously see all of Waikiki Beach and the city and things like that. So those were the things that we did in our stay. So it was the Koala Ranch half-day package, the Luau Paradise Cove, sandbar excursion, which I'll have a review for, and I'll have a review for Koala Ranch half-day. We visited Sandy Beach, and the waves were amazing. I visited Lanikai Beach, which was also amazing, and then my daughter did the Diamond Head hike. So overall score of the Hilton Hawaiian Village Waikiki Beach Resort to me is a 2 out of 5. Views are amazing. Service was really good at the restaurants, and the overall service for the resort seemed fine. Even the people at check-in, even when I was contentious about the cost, and I wasn't contentious, it wasn't rude, I was just trying to talk through why it was different, they were helpful and did as much as they could. So didn't really have any problems with service overall. The rooms are, to me, in the Rainbow Tower, atrocious. For the cost you're paying, they need to be updated. They are just gross. The carpet should not look like that, and I think the wear and tear, the resorts, it's dated, but I think dated's is too kind of a word for the room specifically. I would not go back to this resort, one, because of how crowded, how chaotic, how terrible it was to get away from the resort, all of the traffic in that area. I just didn't enjoy that at all. I think it made for a really terrible time. The views made up for a little bit of that, and the food was average, which is why I give it a overall 2 out of 5. So that is my Hilton Hawaiian Village Waikiki Beach Resort, Rainbow Tower, Oceanfront, King Bed, all the resort review. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and certainly check out, I will be doing a review of the Sheraton Kauai. I will be doing a review of our excursions as well with our 10-day vacation in Hawaii. All right, we'll catch you on the next one.